Right. That's the other thing that I love about this. This is a no risk method of doing real estate. $30,000 a month, $360,000 a year. Is this hard? I mean, like, am I missing something? Because like,
Uh,
what is a lease option?
if anybody has ever leased a car, like a Cadillac or BMW, Mercedes, well, that was a lease option that they had on that car. So we do the same thing, except we just instead of Mercedes and Cadillacs, we do houses.
Got it. No, that's a great analogy because after your lease is over, you get the option to buy it. Now, most people don't. They just trade the car back in, but you get that option.
What we're known for is lease option assignments. Lease option assignments are where we're targeting sellers that need a plan B, meaning the house has been on the market for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, hadn't moved, hadn't sold yet, and we come in and package, we're the plan B for them. So we
Got it.
package up this option, and then we go out and market that to the buyers, and we assign our contract.
Got it. All right. So you're finding people who are looking to sell their property, and then you're saying, hey, instead of selling your property, I want to rent your property from you. And I want to have an option to buy that property in 6 months or 12 months or 18 months. I'm not sure what your time frame is, but you
Yeah.
essentially tell them something like that. But then what you're ultimately doing is you're finding someone to actually take over that lease option. They're going to be the ones moving in, but
Right.
then they are also the one interested in ultimately buying the property.
Exactly. Yeah. I tell sellers, look, I'm a marketing company. So I'm not taking over payments. I'm not making the payments. I have nothing at risk. I'm just packaging up the lease option and then marketing that.
Oh, so you're completely upfront with them. Like wholesalers will say something like, I'm trying to buy your property. I'll buy it all
Oh, yeah.
cash, right? Get it under
Yeah.
contract, sell the contract, right? So they're completely like hiding under a guise of being a buyer. You straight up tell the seller, hey,
Yeah.
we're a marketing company. We're gonna get your property moved. I'm gonna package it up and I'm gonna find the buyer.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow.
Yep.
What are the what are the reactions when you say that to them? Because they're like, John, what do you mean? I'm just trying to sell this property. I don't know what you're talking about here.
Yeah. So what we do is it's really so simple. It's so simple that when I explain it to even seasoned investors, they look at me like they're waiting for, like, there's got to be
More.
more. Like, no, this is what we do.
I love it.
Uh,
You know why? Because the show is called Simple Ways to
Simple ways
Wealth,
to
and
wealth.
you got a simple way to wealth.
Yeah. So what I tell people, look, if you can copy paste on a keyboard, you can do what I do. So we have different methodologies to market to sellers. My students, we have a software that will go out and scrape all the for sale by owners of Zillow or Craigslist, and it'll text blast them. So you can do that by city, county. You can do an entire state if you wanted to. And then some of my students do direct mail. I prefer direct mail just because then that's inbound calls, right? So I'm targeting for my direct mail and my students that do it. Um, they're targeting MLS over 30. So my assistant, my VA will pull the list of the, sorry, that was a seller. That was a seller texting me right there. We'll target MLS over 30, and we have a do direct mail to them. And now the sellers are calling me.
Okay, so
A couple
then
different ways to market to them. Yeah.
got it. Okay, so you're marketing to people who are already selling their properties for sale by owner, but you're also targeting people who have properties on the MLS listed but are days on market over 30. And so
Yes.
you're marketing to them. You're still marketing to the people who have their properties listed.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do that with direct mail. Uh,
Why? That's
uh,
interesting. Why do you send a piece of mail to somebody who has their property on market?
because they're already trying to sell
Okay.
and hadn't sold yet. So the longer a house sits on the market, the more the pain is, right? Like I talked to a seller today, and their house, I don't know how long it's been on the market. It's been vacant since April, so many months. But it's been on the market for uh, it's been over 6 months, and so they need a plan B. And so we'll target with our software. We'll target for sale by owner and also expired listings. So the conversation is really easy with a seller because I'm just saying, I literally have a quick conversation with them, find out about what's going on with the house. Do they still live there? Have they already moved? Whatever. And then I get their address, obviously, and I get their email address, and then I copy paste two emails to them. Um, the first email is who we are, how does it work. The second email is the seller, what I call the seller price sheet, which is a real simple one-page PDF with the numbers. So they see all the numbers, going into it. And then I call them the next day, see if they had any questions. Their number one question is, how soon can you find somebody? You know, um, and which takes us about 45 days or so in most cases. And then then we put the agreements together and we go to work marketing it. Yeah.
Got it. And so you're doing the direct mail to sellers who have their property on market because you're trying to go direct to the seller. You're not trying to talk to the real estate agent.
Yeah. No, I almost never talk to the agent.
Right. That's why I was just trying to get some clarity because I
Yeah.
was like, you can contact them, but I guess you're contacting the agent, not the seller. You're just
Yeah.
using the MLS as the thing that tells you that they're interested in selling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got it. Awesome. All right. So these are properties sitting there not selling, and then you're contacting them like, hey, I can market this thing in such a way where I can put somebody in the property and then your bleeding is going to stop because they're probably
Exactly.
paying on a mortgage, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So it stops the bleeding. Um, Now, sellers love us because while we're marketing the property, we tell them to keep doing whatever they're doing. If it's for sale by owner or listed, whatever, just, if they get a contract, we say, just call us and let us know,
So
you're
what
available.
happens? Like so you have a tenant in the or is it
Oh, oh, yeah,
oh oh it's while you're marketing.
yeah,
It's
while we're
while
marketing it. Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so it'll be concurrent where you're listing it for rent with an option to buy, and then they are listing it for sale. So it's like whichever one comes first.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So here's our website, Leasing to Buy. And this is where we market all of our properties. And we've got students in different areas. But as an example, you know, I'll just grab one. So here's a nice $500,000 home. The option fee is what my students make. So he'll make 25,000 on this. That's
Okay,
his assignment fee. Um, so once he has a buyer, they'll go to our website, fill out the application, we process everything, and then our student will make 25,000 option fee on this.
got it.
That's his assignment fee. So you can look, you can just I'm just going to grab one here. Here's one they've got. My student Raul. Uh, so this house has been totally rehabbed, I think. But that option fee is what he'll make, what my student will make. But again, we're targeting sellers that um, uh, uh, have been trying to sell,
Got it.
and we just come in with with another option for.
Right, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, for example, let's look at that Lake Jackson, Texas house for 384.9.
Yeah.
So, the seller of that property was looking to sell this property for how much? 384.9 as well?
No, he was probably looking to sell it at 380. I'm
Okay.
guessing. I don't know the numbers on this, but what we do is, and I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here, but if a homeowner is asking, say, 350, we do a real quick look at comps, very quick. We're going to raise that price a little bit. So if they're asking 350 as a number, our option price would probably be about 356. So it's a little bit higher.
Okay. So
Yeah.
then
So,
Okay, so then you're going out there, you're marketing this house now for 356, and then you're telling people that, hey, if you want to do this rent to own thing, then you're gonna have to pay $19,500 as an option fee
right.
to enter into this agreement, and then you're gonna have to pay $3,280 a month to rent the property.
Exactly.
Okay.
exactly.
So then you guys are collecting that 3,280. Is that going directly to the owner, or are you guys making a difference between what you're renting the property from the owner for and what you're collecting?
No, once we assign our contract, we're out. So that payment's going directly to the seller.
Okay.
The
Okay.
monthly payment.
So there is no difference between the lease prices.
No, so that would be a what's called a sandwich lease option, where you stay in the middle.
Right.
That's where there's a you negotiate the price in the monthly with the seller for a lease option. Then you lease option on the backside for a higher price, higher monthly payment.
Got it. Got it. Okay. And so when you guys are doing this, you're not paying the owner or the seller an option premium, are you? You're not paying them.
No, now what we'll do is we'll typically give them a little bit of our fee because there's no deposit with the lease option. So, and I don't know the numbers on this one, but on a $20,000 option fee, we'll probably give them the seller two, maybe 3,000 of that.
Got it. Okay. So what this sounds like to me is a different version of wholesaling almost in a way, right? Because and the reason I say that is simply because you're just working for a fee. A wholesaler is just working for a fee. That's what I
Right.
mean. There's no
Yeah.
residual, and it's just a different way of entering into a deal. And what you're doing is you're servicing and solving a problem, right? You're servicing an owner, you're solving their issue with they're unable to sell the property. A wholesaler couldn't do this deal, right? 384.9. The seller was trying to sell for 380. A wholesaler would need to get that for 290, right? And the
Oh
seller
yeah.
would have been like, no, no way, no way. But
Yeah.
here you're saying, look, I'm gonna get it done for you. And they're like, okay, I've already tried. It's not working. If you say you can do it, have at it. Essentially is what I'm hearing,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yeah.
And
So,
then
yeah. So you're exactly right. So these sellers. So if a house doesn't sell, sellers often think that their plan B is to rent it out, but they never want to become a landlord, right? So once they learn about us, then they see it's a much, much better plan B.
got it. So you don't have to give them or hit them with that jaw-dropping number. And then you
No.
also tell them that, yes, this is technically a lease, but are you telling them that you're going to handle anything, everything?
Yeah. So what we do is, so we do 1 year lease options. The reason for that is the sellers want to have light at the end of the tunnel. So they like going with a 1 year lease option. Plus, when the buyers come to us, we have to be picky about the buyer. If they have a 400 FICO score, I can't help them.
Right.
You know, so we're looking for buyers that can get financed within a year.
Okay, so you give them a one year lease option, and then they are going to have that light at the end of the tunnel. Are you helping them with property management? Are you helping them with any of that, or
Um,
they are a landlord? They are a
yeah,
landlord for a year.
they are a landlord, but it's very very hands off for them
Why?
because these people are in the process of buying the house, right? So they're not going to call the owner if if the toilet makes a noise or whatever, right?
Okay.
They're gonna take care of the majority of the
Right.
repair.
Right.
Unless
Right. Is that expressed to the tenant like, hey, treat this as
yeah,
your own house. Don't call the owner because this is going to be your house. Treat it that
yeah,
way.
yep, exactly.
And then is that also written in the lease?
Yeah, it's in the contracts. Yeah,
Okay, so the lease even says like no maintenance is done.
yeah. And I forgot how it says it specifically, but it states that they're responsible for any non-structural repair. So if the roof blew off, that's different, right?
Right, right. So it's almost like a dollar amount kind of thing. If it's like over $3,000, then fine, call me. But under that, that's all you. That's all you, tenant. Something to that effect.
Yeah, and some people put in their agreements. We don't. Some people will put in their a dollar amount, but we don't do that.
Okay, so then let's say that option fee was $19,500. That is what the your student Raul, that's all he was looking for is that 19,500, and of that 19,500 he might give away 2,500 to
Yeah.
the seller.
Yeah.
What's that? Like just for good faith? Like it's like thank you,
Yeah.
like what,
Yeah,
you know.
because the seller's not getting a deposit. And so it just helps sweeten the deal if we're giving them whatever, a couple
R-
$1,000.
Right. And so you say we'll give you a couple thousand once this is completed or once we find the tenant.
Yeah, yeah, and it's on the seller price sheet and it's in the agreements as well.
Got it. Would it make sense to just match that first month's rent with how much you give to them?
You could do that. Yeah, you could do
Got
that.
it. Um, I mean, obviously sellers have said no. What are some of the objections that people have to this whole entire thing?
Um, you know the if if they need to sell to qualify for another house, then this isn't a good fit. If they need to sell to get equity out, then this isn't a good fit. But really, the only objection is one of those, or if um, they may just think they can just sell it outright, even though it's been sitting on the market for 3 or 4 months.
Right. You're like, you've already tried. Like
Yeah,
what's going on? Like
yeah,
all right.
yeah.
So then with the tenant that you're putting in who's going to be potentially buying the property, how much do you screen them to make sure that they're qualified to even execute on the option?
Yeah, so we pull a tri-merge mortgage report. So we're looking at debt to income, looking at all three reports to see what the game plan is to get them financed.
And how are you finding these people? Are you like posting on Facebook
So
or like
yeah, so we put our signs in the yard. These are professional, our leasing to buy sign with our name and number. Then we put it up on our website. Um, then of course, my assistant she'll put them in multiple Facebook groups, Facebook Marketplace. There's syndication websites you can put it on as well. That'll blast it out to a number of different websites.
okay. So you're checking their credit, you're checking their debt to income, and you're like, okay, come 12 months from now, this person should be qualified to actually execute on the option. Why aren't they already doing that from day one and just buying the property outright? Why are they even going through this
Well,
process?
well, it could be that they're self-employed and don't have their 2024 taxes, or that they're not claiming enough and they've got to bite the bullet for taxes. It could be that they're just relocating. You know, so they just want a runway of time. They just want a runway of time to get things together.
Okay,
Uh,
so
yeah, yeah.
there's something, though they're qualified, DTI is good, credit's decent, all that kind of stuff, like there's still just something that's like nagging. Maybe they like the option of just renting and then not being committed to buying 100%.
Well, so they want to buy, but either they just want a runway of time to maybe they don't have 6 weeks or 8 weeks to get all their bank statements and DNA samples and everything ready to go for the lender. This just provides an easy way for them to get in.
Got it. Okay, so they know that they know that they do want to buy it, but they're just not ready financially, paperwork wise, and then so they're like, okay, I can rent. Cool. I'll rent from you and then we'll execute on the option. Have you had it where the person didn't execute on the option?
Yeah, but it's actually fairly rare
Yeah.
because they don't want to walk. If they don't buy, then they've walked away from everything they put into the house. You know,
Right.
and if they're putting down about 5%, they don't want to walk away from that.
Right. So they're putting down $20,000 and then they've moved in and then they fixed it up or whatever. Like they put on their touches.
Yep.
But if they don't buy within that year, do they have to also leave? Are they like evicted
That's
out of the
so
property?
that's a case by case basis. If if they haven't bought it within the 12 months, but they just want a little time, then it's up to the seller if they want to extend it or not.
Got it. Okay. Um, so in rare cases, people do walk away, and I guess it's some kind of circumstance that popped up, and they're like, "Oh, I gotta move back home or something."
Yeah, life happens,
Yeah.
but it's actually it's pretty rare. So we do a 1 year lease option. Other people teach 2, 3, 4, 5 year lease options, but we do a year because I find that the longer the term of the lease option, the less likely that buyer is going to buy.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So you're
Yeah.
giving them this ticking time bomb of like, hey, you gotta move. You gotta take
Yep.
some action here. Okay. Do you help that tenant with any of the financing or anything like that? Do they need a mortgage or whatever?
Yeah. So yeah, we have a lender that we use. So, uh, we process the application. When they move into the property, we put them in touch with our lender.
Okay.
They can
And
already be
then
having that communication going. Yeah. If there is anything on their credit report that needs to be addressed, we have a credit repair person, but uh, I don't know, maybe 20%, 30% of our buyers need that.
okay, that was actually my next
Yeah.
thing. Like,
Yeah.
did people come with slightly imperfect credit, and then maybe they need you guys to help them with getting rid of derogatory or whatever?
Yeah. So, yeah. So again, if they've got credit, if they need some credit work done, we've got the credit improvement person. We have the financing in place as well. So it just makes it a smooth transition.
Got it. How did you get into this? How did you discover this? And how long have you been doing this?
For 22 years.
Lease options for 22 years?
Uh-huh.
Wow, okay. And
Yeah.
why? Why did you
Um,
why did you do this?
I picked lease options because I knew what an option was because I used to trade options on the stock market.
Okay.
Uh, and so when I saw the term lease option, I thought, well, that I know what an option is. But at the time, lease options were really touted as a way to rip people off. Oh, they're gonna put down this money, they're never gonna buy it. And so the framework of the lease option, I was like, I get this. And so I just, if you put the right pieces in place, helping sellers, helping buyers, well, now you've got a business.
Right. And was it always the same structure of you're in the business to collect the option premium and not in the business of creating that sandwich lease where you're collecting
Yeah.
that monthly? You always were
Yeah.
just after the option?
So that's a sandwich lease option. Now in Texas, you can't do a sandwich lease option
Mm,
because the law states that the seller has to have fee simple title. Well, on that VC transaction and a sandwich lease option, you're the seller. Well, you wouldn't have fee simple title. The owner would. So,
okay.
um, plus, I tell people that for the most part, you really want to do 4 or 5, 6 assignments before you do a sandwich lease option. So you understand the flow of it. You understand how to get that buyer. You understand what they're looking for. Because on a sandwich lease option, you're going to be on the hook for that payment, right?
Oh, right. Okay,
Yeah.
because
So it's
you're
best.
leasing it.
Yeah, it's best to do a number of assignments first, because that way you know how to set the numbers, you know how to market the property and all that.
Got it. All right. So this
Because
is
with
a
the
way to
yeah, because
protect
with the assign
yourself.
yeah, because with the assignment, there's no risk.
Right. That's the other thing that I love about this. This is a no risk method of doing real estate.
Yep. Yep.
And there's a clear like hey, I'm buying from these people. They already want to sell. I am going to be not buying, but I'm going to be transacting with these people who want to sell. So you're not like cold calling, cold email blasting, "Hey, are you looking to sell your house?" These are people who are already selling. So that's easy. And then you're just serving another community of people who are like, "I want to buy, but I'm not quite ready. Rent to own sounds great." And so you're just mixing the two.
Yep. Yep.
Wow, that's pretty
Exactly.
cool. How
Exactly.
many how many do people do a month or like how's this even look? I have
So
no idea.
yeah. So it depends on the student. Where you really get traction is once you have 12, 14, 15 properties under contract that you're marketing. And that's when you can start doing, whatever, 2 or 3 deals a month, you know.
Right.
But, this isn't, I tell people, look, if you want something exciting in real estate, something that really gets the adrenaline going, I'm not the guy because what I do is so easy, you know. Um, so, um, so it's not like a fast-paced, wholesaling operation, where you're cold calling all these people and text blasting, thousands of people trying to negotiate. It's really pretty simple.
This sounds way more exciting to me than creating a big wholesaling operation. I much rather operate all by myself, dealing with, I mean, maybe I have a VA or something, right? But like just dealing with a handful of sellers and then doing a handful of these deals, doing two or three a month. And if what I saw from your screen is the option premiums like say 20,000, is that the average or where are we at with averages of option
So
premiums?
we get about 5%. We get about
Okay, so it
5.
really depends on the house.
Yeah. Yeah. So we get about 5%. Um, and, I've got students in different cities doing different price points.
Yeah.
But on average, I'd say it's around 16 to 18 on average.
Call it 15. Let's round down, right?
Okay.
And if you're doing two a month, that's $30,000 a year, $30,000 a month, $360,000 a year.
Yep.
Is
Yep.
this hard? I mean, like, am I missing something? Because like
Uh,
I'm
no,
like you said, I'm still waiting for it.
yeah, no, it's, I tell people this, look, you can do what I do and know nothing about real estate. Um, which is true because we've got the system in place, right? The plug and play system. So what we do with our students is it's almost like a license agreement where we plug them into the business immediately with everything from their email address, get them access to our website, all of our software, all of that. Um, and so it's really almost like plug and play. I mean, they still
I
have to
love
work
it.
it, but yeah,
I love it. Are you
yeah.
guys using something like Deal Machine or anything like that for list or whatever?
No, we have that software that'll go out and scrape uh, Zillow and also Craigslist. Um, and then for direct mail, my assistant pulls that off of Redfin.
Okay.
She'll pull the list off Redfin, put it into PropStream, import,
Okay,
export,
so
and
you're using PropStream.
yeah. So we use that. I use that for our direct mail list.
Got it. Got it. So Deal Machine, PropStream, they're all kind of like,
Yeah.
competitors. But okay, so you are using third-party software, doing that, the mailer sent out, and I got it. So from
Yeah.
let me see if I got
Okay.
it. All right.
Okay.
So you find all of these sellers, whether it's Craigslist, Zillow, or it's listed on the MLS. You are contacting the sellers directly, and you're hitting them with these two emails. The one email tells them like, "Hey, this is what we got going on," and then the other email says what the terms are or something like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you're calling them, "Hey, are you interested? Do you have any questions?" Right? And then
Yeah.
so eventually they say, "Okay, I'm down. I'm interested. Let's play ball." And then once you get them under contract, so what contract are you getting them under? It's not a agreement of sale.
No,
It's
it's a 17 page.
is it an option? Is it
It's a
a
lease. It's a lease with an option to purchase,
okay,
and
so
then
you are getting a lease option, like you are getting the lease option, so but
yeah. So our company name goes on the contract, and then we assign that. So the
o-
seller and the buyer see the same contract.
okay, got it. All right. So the seller buyer getting the same contract. So you're getting them under this lease option, and then you are marketing, right? You have your own system to market, and then you have the website where you have it listed. Hey, if you're renting to own, here's the price to buy, here's the option premium, here's your rent.
Mhm.
Clear as day.
Yep.
And then you are also posting this outside of that, like I'm guessing like Facebook and
Yep.
Zillow and all of the things, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, so then you find the person, and then now they're entering into the tenant is entering into the contract with the seller themselves, saying, "Hey, I'm your tenant, you're my landlord. This is only going to be for 12 months." And up front, they are paying you the option fee, 20,000, 18,000, 15,000, whatever. They're paying you that, and then you are now assigning that option to them to buy it for X dollars, which is the same as what you told the seller, right? So
Yep.
it's the same
Exactly.
option.
Yep.
And then once you get your fee, you're out. You're just like, okay, see you later. See you
Yep.
later, alligator.
Yeah. But now we don't just disappear, right? Because we're putting the buyer in touch with, if need be, credit improvement and with the lender.
Okay. So you might be working with the buyer. a little bit, and then if all goes well, then all goes well. And if it doesn't, and let's say the tenant leaves or whatever,
Mhm.
then maybe you re-engage that seller and say, "Hey, we could try it again." Or
Yeah, if it's rare that someone doesn't buy the house, but if for some reason they're not going to be able to exercise their option, normally we're the first person the seller calls, and they'll
okay,
say, "Hey, can you do that thing again?" Yeah,
okay, so they're not like crazy angry at you. They're like, "Hey, I'm interested in like doing that thing again."
yeah, exactly.
Okay. What's the hardest part about this whole thing? Because I'm still waiting for the hammer.
Uh,
Is it getting the sellers to say yes, or is it
no,
finding the
no, that's
buyers?
no. If anything, sometimes it can be challenging to find a buyer, depending on the price point.
Okay, because the rent might be too high or something like that.
Yeah, so like trying to think here. Um, like we're about to get a house in Austin, Texas, and it's like 1.2 million. And so in that price point, the buyer pool is smaller.
Okay.
So
Oh,
that
how do
would
you determine the rent? How does that happen?
so we want to make sure that the payments that the seller's uh, payments are covered. Um, normally they're cash flowing, but we have a I actually have a calculator. I don't use it because I do the numbers in my head.
Yeah.
But for most houses, uh, say below half a million, uh, we actually have a formula 0.0085 of the price.
Okay. Okay, so it's just a very simple formula to come up with like here's a
Yeah.
rent. And then you tell this to the seller and you go, "Is this okay?"
Yep.
And either yes or no.
Yeah, and normally the numbers that I send them on the price sheet, normally those are the numbers that we're going to go with.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would you say it was 0.0085?
Yeah. But as you move up in price, 750, $800 million houses, then that formula comes back a little bit.
Got it. It's a little less
Yeah.
percentage because the house is just so expensive or whatever.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But I've got
All
a
right.
lease option calculator that my students use, but like I said, I do the numbers in my head because I can spit them out really
Yeah,
quickly.
I mean, it doesn't sound difficult. It's just like, yeah, just pop it in the calculator. Here you go. And then they're like either yes or no.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so then the hardest part is finding the buyer who wants to execute on this.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So then do you ever work with people who have like I don't want to say like terrible credit, but like maybe their credit's not as good and then because their credit's not as good, they're looking for situations like this to give them that edge and then they just need that time to fix their credit. Would that
Yeah.
be a better avatar?
Yeah. Sometimes, it's not unusual for me to pull an application where someone's got a 650 FICO or higher.
So,
So,
what would be the minimum credit score to do this?
you know, it depends on the overall report, but really, for the most part, I'd like to see them at a 580 or higher.
580 is pretty down there.
Yeah, yeah. Because again, it depends on what's on the report. What's the game plan to get them financed? Um, but if they've got a 580, but just really don't use credit, well, we can help them establish credit. You know.
And lenders have no problem with this scenario where they're already living in the place and they're like, yeah, I'm leasing it. This is my house and now I'm just buying it. Like
Yeah,
they're like, I don't care.
yeah, yeah. Now, some lenders, because we can't make the buyer use our lender, but it makes life a lot easier. But sometimes I've had buyers that they say, "Oh, my brother-in-law is a loan officer," and then they go to buy it. Their brother-in-law is calling me, going, "Hey, what's the lease option?"
Right.
And I've got to try to train him.
I know I've asked a lot of questions. Anybody from the audience have any questions for John about this lease option? Because so far it sounds like an amazing strategy because trying to get a property under contract for wholesale, that's tough. Trying to do even like novations, trying to do this, that, the other, like it's I don't know. Because even if you're trying to do like say a novation, you're still trying to find a property cold. And so
Right.
that's tough.
Does the
Okay.
monthly payment go towards the purchase price? So it doesn't, Cassandra. You've got to make sure everything is in line with the lender. So what we do is we have a uh, rent credit where when the buyer goes to get financing, the seller's actually paying part of their closing cost. So it's not actually going to the purchase price, but the seller is going to give them a concession. We used to have rent credits back before '08, '09. What happened was when the mortgage debacle happened, lenders are always changing their guidelines, right? Well, one of the things that a lot of lenders said was, hey, if you're charging a rent credit, you need to be charging that much more. They would do a rent rate appraisal. And so let's say you were giving them a $300 a month rent credit. Well, the lender would do a rent rate appraisal, and if you weren't charging $300 more than market rent, they would disqualify the rent credit. So we just call it what it is, which is a seller concession.
Let's say the house was 300,000 and let's say that the option premium was 10,000, just making it up, right? Um, if they do execute on it, does that 10,000 go towards the purchase of the property?
Yeah, it'll go towards their lender's required down payment.
Got it. Okay, so then where does that money come from? So if they gave you guys the $10,000, right? And you're out of the picture,
Yeah.
and then you're selling the property for 300, they need to come they got to come up with the 290 then in their head, right? That's what they're coming up with. 290?
Yeah. Um, uh, yeah. So let's say if they go FHA, they're going to need 3.5% down. Well, they paid 5% to move into the property. So if they go FHA, then they should be covered the down payment.
Okay, but then so let's say that 300, right? So the seller wanted to sell their property for $300,000 and you said no problem, I can get you 300 or I can get you 305. Like now there's a new sale price, right? There's a new strike price if you will.
Right.
But then you guys collected a $10,000 option fee,
Right.
right? And it's like, okay, you told the tenant that, hey, you get to buy this house for 305 in the future. And if you do buy it, your $10,000 will apply,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So you just got to come to the table with 295. So what you're saying is that the bank will lend the full 295 and that the $10,000 doesn't need to actually be brought back to the table.
Right. It's not brought back to the table. It'll show up on the HUD, like a seller received earnest money or something.
Got it. But then what of the seller? Because now the seller is only getting the 295 and not the
Yeah.
305.
All right. Can you see this PDF? So let's call it 123 Main Street. Okay. So the owner was asking, say, 300.
Yep.
Um, we're going to put that probably at like 306 or 3069. Okay.
Sure.
Uh, just for ease of this, I'll call it 307. Our fee on that would be $15,000, probably. Then we're going to give the seller, let's assume we gave the seller 3,000 of that. Seller concession, 3,600. And then the monthly payment for that house would be probably about 23.95 probably. Anyway, so this is the price sheet that we send the seller. So they can see what they're going to get at move in. They're going to get 50, in this example, 53.95 at move in. They're going to get 23.95 a month. And so they're getting 291 uh, plus cash flow because our fee came off the price, but we raised it a little bit. See?
Got it.
Yeah, but this is what we send the seller in the second email.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So so
Yeah.
so that's how that works.
Yeah.
Um if so and pay no commissions to us. Okay, but if they are listed on the MLS, do they typically still keep their real estate
Uh,
agent on board or no?
normally, I tell them, keep the listing. And they said, well, how does that work with my agent? I said, well, you'd want to let your agent know they're looking to offer as a lease option. And then as far as how the agent gets paid, I tell the seller that's whatever you and the agent have discussed. So in other words, I don't get into that conversation.
Got it. Do the agents ever cause the seller to like walk away? Like, don't do that. Like, because
Uh, yeah, sometimes, but again, I almost never talk to the agents.
yeah, I'm sure like if a seller has a property on the market and then they get this mailer about this whole lease option thing, they're probably showing the agent. Do you think the agent is kind of talking them out of it?
Uh, I'm sure they have
You just
before.
don't know because you didn't
I
deal
don't
with
know.
it, right?
Yeah,
Is
because
it
I'm not. Yeah, because I'm
survive
not.
survivorship bias?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not in those conversations.
Right. So you're not in the business of convincing them otherwise,
No,
like against
no.
their agent's recommendations. It's just
Right.
like if they're interested, then they're calling me, and
Yeah.
whether they keep their agent or not, whatever, none of your business. You're like, hey, I offer this, and that's that.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
Uh, h- how quickly can people do this? Like what like with your
So
students, they're like,
yeah.
hey,
So
I'm Hone and I don't know anything about anything.
yeah. So for my students, a lot of people look at this as an entry level. 'Cause maybe they've tried wholesaling or whatever, and found it was a complete beating, right? And so they see this as kind of an entry level because it is. But with our students, because we're giving them everything, when they come on board, um, normally within 24 hours, do an onboarding call, um, get them set up on all their systems, the training platform, all of that, um, and then get their marketing component set up, the software. Uh, and so for most students, by somewhere in the second week, they're launched and they've got the software set up that's scraping Zillow and Craigslist, and they've got seller calls. Yeah. So normally for most of my students, by the third week, they've got price sheets going out because they've talked to sellers. For most people, by the fourth week, they've got properties or marketing.
Okay, so by the fourth week, they're already marketing properties, and then so by month two, they already have properties that maybe are on market for rent to own.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Okay, wow, that's pretty cool. That's a quick turnaround time because I think the hardest part with people getting started in real estate is finding these properties and actually getting them to the point where they can do something with them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fast. When we bring them on board with us, it's within 3 or 4 weeks, they've got properties or marketing.
Got it. Do you have people who are quitting their 9 to 5 and all that kind of stuff quickly, or do they stay with their jobs pretty long, or like what do you
Yeah,
see?
it varies, but most of my students have a full-time job.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
No, I
and
get it. It's
yeah,
so do mine, right?
yeah,
Uh, Cassandra asks, are you able to do this all across the country from wherever
yeah,
you are?
yeah. So it's very easy to do virtually because you don't need to go meet the seller or meet the buyer. Uh, so like I'm in Fort Worth, so I still go out and see the houses because I just market here where I live. But like if I was going to be marketing in Houston, as an example, well, that's easy. I would just do the marketing, and then I would have my get boots in the ground to, get my signs in the yard, get the lockbox on, do the
Got it. So
showings.
no matter
Yeah,
where you're doing it, you still want to have boots on the ground. You still want to have somebody there to assist with
yeah,
operations.
to put up signs or a lockbox when needed. Yeah.
Do you have when you talk to the seller, are you doing like a Zoom call or do you have your boots on the ground talking to them?
Uh, no, so the sellers are calling me. Well, let me back up. The marketing I do, the sellers are calling me. But even if I was doing it virtually, I'd still want the sellers to call me because I'd want to, I'd want to make sure that the numbers are right, that it's explained properly, and all that.
Got it. Okay. And but you do it just locally to your own
Yeah,
like
just in Fort Worth. Yeah,
got it. And is it just because it's easier that way, less complication, it's simple
yeah,
ways to wealth?
it's easy, and I don't mind getting out of the house and going to look at the houses, um, getting the signs in the yard. But So I just do it myself here locally.
What if the house isn't rent ready? What if there are repairs that are needed and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff? So what happens then?
Yeah. So if there's repairs that need to be done, then it's really not a fit for a lease option.
Got it. So this
That's
needs to
more
be a
for,
pretty pristine property that's like
yeah. If it has some repairs that need to be done, uh, that's really more for seller finance.
so okay.
So in other words, we don't lease option handyman specials.
Okay, but you don't say no to them, you just have a different
I would
pivot.
say, hey, if it needs these repairs, let's look at what seller finance would look like. And then we're just doing the same thing. We're just packaging up seller finance.
Okay. So they're not renting it, they're seller financing it, but then this person who's buying it is they're still making the monthly payments as a seller finance, or it might be like a wraparound mortgage seller finance, something like that. And
Yep.
then but okay, so then is it the buyer who's handling the repairs?
On seller finance. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so they're seller financing it, they're making monthly payments, but then they also have to bring a whole bunch of cash up front to make the repairs though, before they can actually move in.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So on lease option, these are nice move-in ready houses. Um, we do seller finance as well, but it just kind of depends on the property.
Okay. But with the seller finance, how are you guys getting paid? It's not a lease option premium anymore.
So then we're getting a consultation fee at close.
Got it. Okay. So you're consulting the buyer on this
Yeah.
whole transaction.
Yeah. Consulting the seller and the buyer. Yeah.
Okay. So which side do you get paid on, the seller side or the buyer side?
Seller side.
Got it. Got it. Okay. That makes sense because then the mortgage company, they don't want to see a consulting fee on the buyer side.
Yeah. No, it'd go on the seller side of the HUD.
Got it. And then is that the same math, like 5% or whatever it
Yeah.
is?
It's about the same. Yeah.
Okay, so most of it is the same, except for the fact that the the buyer needs to come up with not only the option or the consulting fee, but they also have to come up with the renovation money.
Yeah. If there's repairs that need to be done.
Got it.
But
So
we really don't, we rarely get a property that needs repair.
really? Okay. So are you then just targeting properties that are pretty pristine, the ones
Uh-huh.
that are move-in ready?
Yeah. Yeah. That's who we're targeting.
Okay, so that's part of the whole model then, if you will. It's
Right.
like, okay, let's not grab properties that suck. Let's grab decent properties and then let's put in the mailers for those.
Exactly. Yep.
Wow, awesome. Awesome. So this sounds so I don't want to say the words. I don't want to say this is so easy or whatever, right? But it's just like you really found like your niche that you can dominate pretty easily that allows you to create the income that you need.
Yeah.
And you don't have to work that much. At least that's what it sounds like. It's like, what am I missing?
Yeah. When you get, when you get like 14 or 15 houses, well, now it's a little more work because you're getting a lot of calls, you know?
Okay, so that's the hard part of like operations and handling the phone
Yeah.
calls.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you still handling that or do you have a VA handling that or what's
No,
that?
I still have all the buyers call me. So if they
Okay.
see my sign in the yard, they call me. Um, um, uh, if I were to get more than 15 properties, that's kind of my break point. I would have my sister, who's also does my customer support. I'd have her start showing the properties. Yeah.
Okay. So that's the other thing. You still have to show these properties. So the other caveat is like some homeowners are selling the property, but they still live in the property. Do do you do lease options on those
Mhm.
as
Yeah.
well?
If it's owner occupied, I tell the seller, hey, when it comes time to show the house, stay, I'd like you to be at home if at all possible.
Okay.
Because then the buyer can ask me about the lease option. I can explain everything, and they can ask the seller any questions they have.
Okay. And then the seller's like, I don't have any answers. I don't know what this thing is either.
Yeah, so I tell the buyer, any questions about the program, ask me. Any questions about the house, ask the seller.
Got it. That makes more sense.
Yeah,
That makes more
yeah,
sense. Okay. And then so this is a way for the seller to do a little meet and greet as well beforehand.
mhm, yeah, yeah. If
Got
they
it.
live, yeah,
Got it. So as long as the seller can still buy their next house without having all of their money up front because obviously they're not getting their money up front. They have to wait like 12 months before they get it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Got it. All right. Yeah, no, this everything sounds good so far. All
I'm telling you, I tell people if you can copy and paste, you can do this.
got it. And then in Texas, here's the only other thing, right? In Texas, do you only need a lease or do you also need like a rental license and rental suitability and like lead paint certification and bed
No, it's
bug
just,
things and all that kind of stuff?
no, it's just our lease option documents.
Got it. Okay. So where I am, in order to rent out a property, you got to have way more documents than that. You have to have a ton of stuff. So that might add a little bit of complexity because we're gonna require the seller to get a bunch of different things that the seller may not have any interest in getting, like rental licenses with the city and things like that.
Yeah, no, we don't. We just have our lease option documents. Yeah.
Got it. And that's enough. Okay. All right. No, that's clear. So we just got to find a location that's allows for rents pretty easily, and then find properties that are in good condition, and then voila.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
And then we hit 15, and we'll at that 15 mark, you're renting out, like you said, like three a month, or you're executing on the option like three a month,
Yeah.
and so you're bringing in 40 to $60,000 a month.
Hmm. Yeah. And assignment fees. Yeah.
That's that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. So do you care to own rentals as well, or do you just do this?
No. So one of the mistakes I made was not uh, keeping more properties. I've got couple of seller finance properties down in Houston, but I should have held on more properties because you get these conversations with sellers and sometimes there's another opportunity there.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how I would see it. It's like in talking to them and they're frustrated that they can't sell it for whatever price. It's like, hey, well, I could do this lease option thing, or I could actually just take it off of your hands, and then so you could
Yep.
probably grab a pretty good deal for yourself.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that happens every once in a while, and then so you'll capitalize on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
But yeah, it's it's not any more complicated than that.
Well, John, thank you so much for breaking that all down. I mean, it almost sounded too good to be true, but it's what it is. It's the nature of the beast. It's just that simple. It's a simple way to wealth. It is a simple way for people to create wealth with very little risk. A lot of people keep telling me that they're going after high risk and high reward. This sounds like low risk and high reward if you just do it right.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you got the whole blueprint on how to do it right.
Yeah. With the right systems, plug and play.
Awesome. All right. Well, John, you've been a blessing. Thank you so much. And it's really great meeting you.